ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Market Today on Business Today Television. I am Shail Bhatnagar joining you from the very hot New Delhi, where not only is the market for news really hot, but the markets are also doing phenomenally well on Dalal Street. Let's just take a basic view of what has happened yesterday evening, which is the formation of the cabinet in the Modi third term, and from all signs it looks to continuity. We'll do that in a little bit, but let's look at how markets are structured. You will see the daily chart of the Nifty coming right there in front of you. As far as overseas cues are concerned, ladies and gentlemen, it's a quiet day. There is nothing happening on US 10-year bond yield. Gold is quiet, and crude oil is also, at its highest level since May 31st. Nothing to be worried about. But what is going to impact the markets is really the cabinet formation that has taken place last evening. More details will be shared a little later, but for you, the Nifty was at 23,260, down 30 points, and the Bank Nifty slipped 22 points lower at 49,780. Remember, all of last week the Nifty had rallied about 720 points, and there is a bit of a consolidation zone that is likely over the next one or two trading sessions. Remember, we also start the run up to the fresh budget to be presented by the new government that has taken charge at Delhi. Budget is somewhere in the mid first or second week of July. So between then and now, a new set of stocks will be working. Now, this is the daily Nifty graph in front of you. What you notice is a record high on the Nifty that was struck yesterday. Of course, there was very heavy selling pressure that came in, and from then on the Nifty hit a high of about 23,410, and from that level it slipped to about 23,260. Similarly, on Nifty Bank, the high was somewhere like 50,250. It slipped about 470 points from those levels to close at 49,780. What is expected today? Well, there is a series of stocks and sectors that are likely to do well. Let me just point out to them, and of course we'll be discussing the government formation in great detail. But PSU banks, PSU railways and PSU defense stocks will be revitalized. The trend of the Nifty is definitely up, but it's a point of consolidation because of the sharp rally that we've seen all of last week. What will also move is agri-space, fertilizers, chemicals. These are the new themes that the market is dealing with. Now that monsoon is above Maharashtra, it's raining heavily in Mumbai. So these things always regularly, like annual clockwork, come back in fashion. Look at fertilizers, look at agri-chem stocks, and look at chemical space, because not only are they beaten down relative to the broader market, but this is the theme that runs closer to the budget, closer to the monsoon. As always, you have the Fin Nifty weekly expiry on Tuesday. If you look at the Nifty ITM calls, you see an intense amount of short covering that's happening, and that's very good as far as bulls are concerned. The Nifty option chain points to a very strong support at 23,000 points. Let me just give you some data there. If you look at the option chain at 23,000 points on the Nifty, which expires on June 13th, that is 2 days from now, you have a fresh addition of 10,34,000 puts, and of course an OI of about 66.55 lakhs. Similarly, at 23,500, which is a major resistance, about 27.36 lakh calls have been added yesterday. The total OI stands at about 67.62. What is really good, ladies and gentlemen, is the shorts that have been covered by the by the FIIs. What we'll do, ladies and gentlemen, we'll wait for Siddharth Sarabi, Managing Director at Business Today Television. He'll give us a broad overview of what has happened in terms of political developments, economic portfolios that have been distributed, and what essentially it means not only for the markets but for the broader theme that is coming in. I believe Siddharth has joined us. What we'll do, ladies and gentlemen, till the time Siddharth joins us, I'll move you through the 2 or 3 major block deals that are likely to be seen today. We'll first start with Indigo. The long pipeline of promoters trying to take advantage of these record high prices is now reached the hangar of Indigo. This time it's the Bhatia family, which controls 37% stake in Indigo, will be selling a 2 percentage point share in the market today, in the open market, about 77 lakh shares. Remember, Indigo has been one of the finest performers as far as stock prices are concerned. In the past quarter, the counters gained about 45%. It's the 4th best performing stock. At a market cap of about 1.76 lakh crore rupees, Indigo is controlling more than 50% of the aviation market. So this deal is worth about 3,200 crore rupees, about 5-7% premium to the record close that we saw yesterday. The second transaction is IRB Infra. This is a 5 percentage point stake worth about 1,800 to 2,100 crores, which will be sold in the open market today by a Dutch-based investor, which controls 25% in IRB Infra. So again, it's the promoter selling that's happening, taking advantage of the sharp rally that we've seen in IRB Infra stock. Remember, over the last 1 year, the stock has appreciated 151% compared with the 74% rise in the cap goods index, and of course the 61% uptick in the mid cap index. So a lot of such transactions are in the pipeline. The other stock that we continue to highlight will be Poonawalla Fincorp. The erstwhile promoter, the name slips my mind, has sold 76 lakh shares yesterday in the open market at about 438-439 rupees per share, and the counter had slipped about 8% in trade yesterday. These are the 3 major stocks that I have in mind, but this is as good a time as any to welcome Siddharth Zarabi, Managing Director at Business Today Television, who's been tracking both economic and political developments as far as cabinet formation is concerned. Siddharth, a very warm welcome to Market, and it's so good to see you early morning. How do you see this? Continuity as the markets would like to see as far as distributing of cabinet posts is concerned within the BJP, as also now to its allies?
Well, very clearly, the big message is that it's largely an old team, but there are new beginnings. The big 4 portfolios have been retained by the Bharatiya Janata Party. Allies have been accommodated. Prime Minister has sent a message that as far as the government's agenda, which has already been outlined in the interim budget, or through many other pronouncements and actions, even during the campaign period. We saw it was a very interesting campaign period in some ways, where the government of the day continued to function as usual. There was nothing interim or tentative about it. It did not take major decisions, but preparation for work in the new term had continued. And that's why we saw yesterday on day 1 the formality of the release of the next installment for the Kisan Nidhi. And there was also this massive program for 30 million houses to be constructed under the Prime Minister's special scheme, the Awas Yojana. And I imagine many other decisions are cooking. The Finance Ministry late in the evening also released the next amount of taxes due to the states as part of the devolution from the center. So if you see the cabinet in that manner, Prime Minister Modi's third administration has hit the ground running, and therefore the choice of faces Shail was largely to ensure that there is continuity as far as some of the most major important portfolios are concerned, including road transport, highways, one of the biggest contributors to overall GDP growth, as we have known. The second would be Commerce Ministry. I'm just highlighting that from a point of view of some of the important trade conversations we are having, and the likelihood of a couple of major bilateral, multilateral, regional trade pacts that are likely to be signed in the next few months. Those are just two examples, but the the broad message is Prime Minister Modi has chosen to continue to work with those he has trusted in the past.
Okay. So essentially, the top four, if you could just enumerate what is with the BJP and what has been given to the allies, particularly the TDP, as also the JDU.
So let's try and figure out what has been done in the 30 odd cabinet positions. In the 30 odd cabinet positions, the Cabinet Committee of Security, which is in some ways considered the most important cabinet committee, which takes all decisions, including national security decisions, that remains with the big four, and that big four would be defense. It includes the home. It includes the finance portfolio and the external affairs portfolio. So that remains. What have the allies got? The allies have basically got some of the ministries that are what you would call associated ministries as far as broader economic development and infrastructure is concerned. Let's take civil aviation. Civil aviation has gone to one of the youngest MPs in Parliament, the TDP, the person from the state of Andhra Pradesh. When it comes to food processing, it's gone to Chirag Paswan. When it comes to some of the other portfolios, we have seen the JDU being accommodated. But the key portfolios outside of some of the ones that we have discussed, including, for example, coal, power, they have gone to housing and urban affairs, health, railways, IT, INB, uh, telecom. They've all been retained by BJP people, and the biggest of them would, in the current context, the overall macroeconomic, social economic context, is agriculture with rural development, which has gone to Shivraj Singh Chauhan, the former Madhya Pradesh chief minister, and someone who won with a margin of over 8 lakh votes. And Shail, I don't have to tell you how ticklish the issue of farm sector laws and its consequences, the repeal, have had on our broader political discourse, Shell.
I think, Siddharth, one of the most interesting and looked for, up to appointments has been of Mr. Shivraj Singh Chauhan. Of course, he delivered Madhya Pradesh on a platter to the BJP. His state has really outperformed the three major ones that were always up for discussion, which is MP, Rajasthan, and UP. What do you think would be the priorities of Mr. Shivraj Singh Chauhan as he assumes charge of the agricultural ministry? Is there a message that the BJP is sending to the electorate, and is there a message that the electorate sent to the BJP as far as agriculture is concerned?
So, if the consumption theme that has been predominant in the last few days of trade, Shell, actually from the day of the results, as we saw the market swing, its mood and its sentiments also reflect what was happening politically. If you take the broader consumption theme as the sort of lamppost around which this conversation has to converge, what can agriculture do in the present context? The biggest issue is farm sector uh, does not pay enough to the young people employed in that sector. Margins are shrinking, input costs are going up. The difficulty of finding labor in busy season is known to all those viewers of us who have even a remote link with this sector. Governments over the past 15, 20 years have chosen to bring in programs like the rural employment program. Does that help agriculture sector? People say yes, they say no as well. So the farming sector, if it were to be one market aligned in terms of the returns that farmers get, you would see lesser demands for MSP. Farmers do not get returns for all the inputs that they put in. That is why there is social unrest. Second, if there would be a path in life for the younger generation in the farming sector, you would see lesser pressure, for example, on army jobs for soldiers. There are multiple things. I think the amount of spending that the union government has on the rural development and the agriculture portfolio needs a relook. It needs better efficiency, better hands at the deck, and there can be no one better than Shivraj Singh Chauhan, where Madhya Pradesh, as we know, is a food bowl of this country. Wheat, for example, the finest wheat in India is grown from Madhya Pradesh, and in the last 20 odd years, the transformation in Madhya Pradesh from an agriculture sector and its contribution to the state's GDP is very well recognized. So, and one quick point, Shell, the first thing that Shivraj Singh Chauhan is learned to have done after the portfolios were allocated were to call all key officials of these ministries to Madhya Pradesh Bhavan, where he's staying currently in transit accommodation. I believe he will soon get a very impressive bungalow in Lutyens, Delhi. There was to hit the ground running and start discussions with his officials, and we will see some of those inputs coming through in this forthcoming budget, which, mind you, given what we have seen in terms of the politics playing out in the election results, is going to be a budget that will focus on the poor, on the women, on the farm sector, and the youth.
Okay, we'll welcome Sakshi Batra to this conversation. Siddharth, the last one from my side, the 100-day agenda, and of course the new budget about a month from now on. What would be the two top wish lists that the government will have, and the two top needs that the market and the broader country is looking from Prime Minister Modi?
Shail, if the first decision was for farmers, the second decision was for uh, you know rural India, and to some extent urban as well, in terms of those who cannot afford houses, them getting houses. And the third decision was a outreach of sorts, although it was due, would have had to happen in any case, to states by giving them their share of revenues. It is very clear that the government is prioritizing its core constituents first, and this is where some of the losses that the Bharatiya Janata Party on its own has suffered basically account for. Take a look at it this way: roughly 20% is the loss that the BJP has had from the previous government to this, in terms of the seats, from 303 to somewhere around 240. How does that impact their decision making is what we are seeing, and therefore I believe the markets are pricing that in, and we have seen that in the run up in certain consumption stocks, in those that are concerned and connected with the rural economy, and that is why this shift away from some of the infrastructure capex PSU plays that were dominating the market till recently.
Good morning to you, Siddharth, and good morning, Shail, as well. To both of you, I had one clear question, and I will begin by asking you, Siddharth, that going to the allies, what would that do to the policy changes that will happen, since that is not happening now, and most of the portfolios, like you pointed out, are with the BJP as well. Will that nervousness now go away from the markets, and the markets, will they get now comfort that the coalition government that will be formed and now is getting formed will not be such a bad thing after all?
Well, very quickly, Sakshi, I think that already played out yesterday, because when the swearing in ceremony that took place on the ninth evening, pretty extended one, and there was a house cat that was also strolling behind in the frame. I think the markets got a sense of who are in the new Council of Ministers. And given that the BJP has been pretty steadfast in its negotiations, has ensured that one, the allies don't get outsized representation in the Council of Ministers. Secondly, the cabinet ranks are dominated by the BJP. And third, through the allocation of portfolios, there is a rational logic. It is not the UPA. There is no portfolio shopping that has happened. And some of the back and forth that we saw as reporters when the UPA came into power in 2004 and then subsequently again in 2009, and what used to happen with some portfolios being considered cash cows, where certain allies only wanting those portfolios because that would help them further their political agenda. None of that has happened, and I think that is why the market seem to have taken comfort from these developments.
Right. So, Shail, 23,500, is that soon to come, and maybe today?
Well, Sakshi, I think, we've got to this point where we every day expect the Nifty to rise 0.5% or 150 points. I think we need to hold our horses. Remember last week we rose 720. If you divide 720 by 5, you get somewhere like 150 points on a daily basis. Let's just digest that. See, the trend is up. And within that trend, we'll just have some corrections. Siddharth, in his earlier commentary, mentioned that, the top 4 posts in the cabinet are with the BJP. Dare I say, the top 8 are with the BJP. The remaining 4, which is railways, power, housing, and of course, coal and agriculture. This is the core of what you and I and the entire Business Today team grapples on a daily basis. That remains with the BJP. So the markets are satisfied. I believe now the run-up will focus on sectors that will make up the budget. That is agri, that is chemicals, that is of course agri-chemical space and fertilizers. My understanding is that housing already has a kicker, and those are the sectors, rails, PSUs, and of course our favorite sector, defense, will be back with a vengeance. So my understanding is that we are set for a nice bull run from this level. Of course there will be corrections on the way, but we must take them in the stride. And of course buy the dip remains the main theme. I'd just like to point out to both Siddharth and you, May's monthly collection on on mutual funds is 34,700 crores, including an NFO of 9,000 crores. So we are set for a nice rally. Let's just wait for dips to happen so that new people can get it. Sakshi.
Absolutely. And in fact, Shail, when I was diving through the data that you are talking about, we found out that the day of the crash, that is, when the Lok Sabha polls were done, June 4th, that is the day when retail investors participated like how 21,000 odd crore rupees of money poured into the equity mutual funds by retail categories. So the FIIs were pulling out, mutual funds were putting out. It was core retail money that actually poured in one single day. If we remember, for our viewers, I'm saying every month the SIP figure is close to 20,000 odd crore rupees, and that was one day when retail investors continued to pour in faith in the Indian stock market story, and they put in money in that one single day as well.
Sakshi, mark my words, in 5 years from now, forget 5 years, in 3 years from now, we will stop tracking FII number. Take it from me. We will only track the monthly SIP that is coming into the market. 4 years ago, this number was less than 3,000, 4,000 crore rupees per month. We are already clocking 25,000 per month, and get ready for 50,000 per month in a span of maybe 3-4 years. Just as the GST number, just as the digital UPI number has soared month on month, this number will be again soaring. Indians will own what Indians have created. Sakshi, that's the theme.
Absolutely, Shail. So let's get started by understanding what the global cues are, and we will again come to our guests to really find out where will money be now made in this new setup now that the new government is in place. The cabinet positions are taken in, and now it will be back to business for Modi 3.0 as well. So remember, as far as the global setup is concerned, the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq again eked out record closing highs on Monday, although investors were a little cautious ahead ahead of the week's consumer prices report and the Federal Reserve policy announcement as well. So the Dow Jones was up by 0.1%, but it was the Nasdaq that got lifted by 0.35%, partly led by Nvidia movement, and S&P 500 also about 0.25% higher in trade. The Asian markets trading mostly higher in the early trade again. So when we look at the Nikkei and the topics, they were higher in trade. Kospi was higher by about 0.5%, but the Hang Seng and the Shanghai was little weak. The Gift Nifty is pointing out to a positive start as well. About a 50 point of an uptick is what we can expect in today's trading session. Now, as far as the flows are concerned, important to watch out for that as well. Remember, the FIIs have remained net buyers for the second straight trading session. About 7,000 odd crore rupees has come in from FIIs in just the last two trading sessions alone. Individually, like you say, the FIIs were net buyers of 2,572 odd crore rupees, while the DIIs also bought about 2,764 odd crore rupees worth of stocks as well. Now, as far as the stocks are concerned, I'm keeping an eye out on a few stocks that we can watch out for today. So, on Indigo, remember, Rahul Bhatia family unit Interglobe Enterprises is likely to sell 77 lakh shares via block deals worth 3,293 odd crore rupees. Floor price fixed at 42.66 rupees per share, which is a 7% discount to Monday's closing price. So we'll keep an eye out on how Indigo reacts to this one. IRB Infra, again, Sintra or Ferroweight affiliate is likely to sell about 5% stake in the company. The deal price ranges from 63 rupees to 73 rupees, 70 rupees per share, which is again a discount of almost 10 odd percent from Monday's closing price. At the closing end of the price band, the deal is to be worth about 1,900 odd crore rupees again. Emphasis, of course, after that block deal has taken out, we'll keep an eye out on. So Morgan Stanley Kotak Mahindra Mutual Fund, Society Generale, these were the big buyers of shares worth about 1,900 crore rupees in Monday's block deal. Vodafone Idea, remember the company is going to be considering issue of shares securities on a preferential basis to vendors on June 13th. So that will be in focus. Transformers and rectifiers, I'm keeping an eye out on. It has launched a QIP in order to raise funds. Floor price 699.95 rupees per share, a 4.5% discount to Monday's closing price. The company can offer discount of not more than 5% on the floor price. Remember that. RVNL, again, it's emerged as the lowest bidder for Central Railway project of 138.5 odd crores in a consortium with Siemens. RVNL has also won a letter of award for a Bengaluru Metro Rail project worth 394 odd crore rupees. So order flows come in for RVNL. NLC India, it's going to be raising foreign currency loan through external commercial borrowings in any foreign currency as per business requirements to the extent of $600 million through the direct route, and this could be subject to RBI guidelines. So I'm keeping an eye out on these stocks, Shail, today.
Okay, what we'll do, ladies and gentlemen, we'll welcome Mr. Dharmesh Kant to the conversation. He's just about to join us, and in the moment we'll also have the pre-open rates with you. Dharmesh is head of equity research at Cholamandalam Securities. He's a regular on Business Today, and there he is. Dharmesh ji, namaskar. Swagat hai aapka. Now almost all news that could drive markets as far as the political equations were concerned is out of the system. One, how do you see the markets from now on, and what are the two broad themes that you think will be running across the Lal Street ahead of next month's budget?
Yeah, Namaste Shailji. Good morning to Sakshi and all our viewers. Yeah, I mean, theoretically, the political election results and everything is out of the way, and it's status quo as far as even the ministries and the portfolios are concerned. But I think this market from here on is all about liquidity. The influx of the liquidity flow is very high, and as far as valuations are concerned, it's still sky high. Whatever metrics you look at, market cap to GDP ratio is now almost at all-time high. At the same time, equity risk premium is rising about 2.7%, which is very difficult to sustain unless you are getting an earnings growth of 55%. And if you look at PE multiples, I mean, the growth is only 10-12%, whereas the PE multiples is now around 30-35 on an average. So these are the concern areas, but liquidity flow is keeping the market intact. And this is going to stay for here. I am not saying liquidity is going to dry out of the market. In this context, what I think is the sectors which were darlings of the market just before into the run-up to the election will remain so. because but the action is happening. Just this morning also you are seeing RVNL getting a fresh order. So railway infra, power space are the two budging sectors which will continue to do so. Infra may take some backseat. And the defense. These are three sectors which will be your delivering results. So we have rolled out pre-election, I mean pre-budget to the next budget kind of a theme where these stocks will a part of the basket. Apart from that, yesterday we saw some traction coming into the agrochemical side or the fertilizer side of the basket, which will likely be so because Prime Minister has twice or thrice he has was very vocal about the fact that some sections of the society which has to be addressed with more vigor and force. So and in that the middle income group, the rural India and the agri focus will be back into action. So these are the broad areas. I mean, if you ask me top pick, I think it still remains the same. RVNL from the railway infra and HAL from the defense space.
Okay, pre-open is upon us, Sakshi. Just a mild red tick, 23 down on the Nifty. There is a block deal on IRB Infra that both of us pointed out. It's already done. The counter's 5%, 8% lower at 64. And in terms of top gainers, there isn't much of interest from the PSU pack. I was actually hoping that you will see a very nice uptick when it comes to stocks such as the defense space, stocks such as the PSU basket, but BEL is 1.6% higher, Garden Reach is a percent higher, HAL 0.7, BDL 0.6. So it's a muted reaction. I think the markets are already priced it 0.5% each on Cochin and Mazgaon. Let's look at the railway space. It's quiet. RVNL is up 1.8%, 80.7, but that's the news flow deal on transactions that are happening. Nothing much. The Nifty is back in the green. Sakshi, what are you watching?
A whole host of other stocks that we'll be keeping an eye out on. Indigo, let's look at that one first, how that is reacting to the promoter sell-off as well. Of course, that is going to be an important stock to watch. How, of course, we're looking at a 7% discount at which the floor price has been announced. So there could be some downtick. Yes, there is 2.3% lower, 44.63 on Indigo. Apart from this, I'm also looking at some of the other stocks that were in news. So RVNL, let's look at that one, how that one is reacting. Even Dharmeshji pointed out to that stock that he's looking at that one, and consistent order flows keep coming in for this too. Apart from this, yes, there's a 2% uptick. NLC India, again, the kind of borrowings that the company is going to be really doing. Of course, the stock was in focus in the last few trading sessions, so we'll keep an eye. 1.5% higher. Emphasis, let's look at that, how after the block deal again for the follow-up day, it is reacting as well. So let's look at that too, how Emphasis is reacting, and Vodafone Idea will be the next one that I will look at as to how of course, the company is going to be looking at issuing of shares and securities on preferential basis. 0.5% uptick on Emphasis and quiet one. Let's look at Vodafone Idea as well. Let's try to quickly look at some of the oil and gas stocks because they are in clear limelight. Vodafone Idea 3.5% lower, 15.3 right now. Let's look at oil and gas space. Why? Because CLSA, Jefferies have both come out with reports on this one. CLSA is preferring stocks like MGL and IGL from the gas space on the surging spot LNG prices. That may have a clear impact on these stocks. And Jefferies on ONGC has a buy rating with a 390 target price. It believes policy continuity on pricing reforms post-elections will be keeping companies' profitability elevated, and the recent correction appears overdone as well. 0.5% increase on MGL. Let's look at IGL and ONGC as well. So those are the key stocks that I'm looking at. IGL about 0.5% lower. Let's look at how ONGC is opening up. So that is also in the pre-open trade. Let's look at how the kind of moves that we are getting on ONGC. 390 is the target price that Jefferies has given. Remember, they are also saying that the recent correction is overdone and it provides an attractive entry point. So yes, a 2.6% higher on this one. So these are the stocks that I'm looking at, Shail.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the Nifty is in the green, 33 points higher, 23,292. As good a time as any to welcome Osho Krishnan, Senior Research Analyst and Technicals for Derivatives at Angel One Stockbroking. Good morning to you, Osho, and a very warm welcome on Business Today. Two stocks you think will be in thick of demand and may outperform the broader markets as also their indices as far as today's trade is concerned.
Very good morning, Shail. Firstly, there have been many counters which are looking very positive, especially in the last trading session. We have seen a major breakout in the fertilizer pack and the chemical pack. So, my first pick is from the fertilizer pack only. Chambal fertilizer yesterday has seen a very drastic breakout of consolidation near about 400, 405 odd zone and currently hovering around 425, I guess. So, Chambal fertilizer is one of the pick that I am having for the day and even as a for positional basis also. For the day, I'm expecting a target of nearly 440 to 450 odd levels, but on positional basis, 460 plus kind of a target can be seen in this counter. While for short-term traders, it is advisable to keep a stop loss near about 400 odd levels. The other counter which is looking very positive to me is from auto sector. Apollo Tire have been seeing some kind of traction in the last two trading sessions. So Apollo Tire is one of the pick that I'm having for the day and even for positional basis also, currently hovering around the zone of 480, 85 odd levels. So one should definitely try to gauge momentum in Apollo Tire at these levels. On the higher end, I'm expecting a target of nearly 510, and on the lower end, 468 should be kept as the stop loss.
Okay, let's get Dharmeshji to the conversation. Dharmeshji, two basic themes, agri and fertilizers, will be gathering our attention till the monsoon becomes overcast across the country. What would be your favorite fertilizer stock in terms of a simple, good balance sheet, good management, and good corporate governance? And two, your top agri-chem pick.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for next 1 month or so, there would be traction in agri and chemical space. And there, I think, I mean, few companies I cannot take name of because of they belong to our group companies. But apart from that, I think one can look at, say, Chambal fertilizer looks interesting. UPL looks pretty interesting because UPL also have a agrochemical play focused on India and abroad. At the same time, the rate cut by the ECB would favor the growth pickup out there. So there you can have again a diversified play. Rather than a pure fertilizer play, I think the focus should be more on agrochemical to specialty chemical kind of a play. So there I think UPL stands a chance. You can look at FACT as well, FACT. So these are the few stocks. These are just momentum trading plays for next 2 or 3 months. UPL can be a constructive buy for next 1 year kind of a time frame.
Okay. Remember, UPL has been one of the worst performing stocks on the Nifty as far as the bull run is concerned. Just cratered all of 2023 and of course is now on its way back up. So it could be a bottom fishing on UPL based on the two broad themes that are there in the market. But one needs to be really very, very careful. Those stocks who underperform during a roaring bull market obviously point to some kind of problems. So Sakshi, we've settled at 24 points higher on the Nifty. We've settled 29 points lower on the Nifty Bank. Remember, we are on T-1, and of course today is the weekly expiry of the Fin Nifty. We'll keep an eye out on that as well. Absolutely roaring demand for HUDCO based on the pronouncements from the Prime Minister's office. 3 crore new homes to be built. RVNL news driven 2.2% higher, BEL 1.27% higher, and of course ONGC, as Sakshi pointed out, a CLSA report pointing to juicy valuations 266.85. The most recent high that we've seen on this one is 300 rupees. Sakshi.
Right. Dharmeshji, I wanted to ask you on this PM Awas Yojana extension now, are you looking at the real estate players? Are you looking at the ancillaries of real estate like a cement, steel, etc.? Or are you looking at the housing financiers? Or do you think all these segments will benefit, and how should one be really approaching this theme now?
I think, I mean, the direct beneficiary would be the material suppliers like cement, because earlier it was 2 crore homes, now it has been extended to 3 crore kind of a
Yeah.
home. And this is to the, base segment of the society. So even housing finance companies won't be benefiting much from that, because to this section, it's more of a government, subsidy and things like that come into play, where the housing finance companies are not financing the buyers of these very low segment of the society kind of construction. But apart from cement, where prices are at all-time low, and expectation is that as the monsoon season ends, there will be a pickup in prices, and the volumes will also grow up by 2 to 3%. So both put together, they again become attractive buy. Maybe Ultratech and Ambuja Cement one can look at. Housing finance companies have been for a bit of attraction of late. The last 1 month has been good for them. And yesterday we have, just for our trading pop, we have recommended Aadhaar Housing Finance as a buy option for next 1 month or so. 410, 420 is the likely target price which we are expecting. This was a recently listed housing finance company with a plenty of valuation comfort out there when you compare to same in the peer group. So it's still at 2.5 times price to book, where others are trading at around 4 to 4.5 times price to book value. And the growth has been good enough. And the largest in the segment with 21,000 crore of an AUM out there. I think in budget, there will be some incentives will be rolled out for middle income group of people with regard to the home purchases they make. So there has not been any, a leeway given into a budget, maybe 2 lakh limit of the principal repayment which you make, maybe it will be raised to 3 lakh or something like that may come into place. So that's the trigger out there. So directly, I think cement one can play out, and the other is housing finance companies, not from this extension of the Awas Yojana, but from something to expect in the budget for middle income group people when they buy new homes. So these are the plays which we are looking at.
Okay. Let's ask Osho also quickly, within the entire basket on charts, which are the stocks looking very positive here?
See, from housing finance companies, LIC Housing Finance is looking very positive to me. It is on a verge of giving a fresh breakout. Overall, the trend has been very positive in this counter. It has retested the zone of the previous high. So I'm expecting that from here onwards, there can be strong momentum in LIC Housing Finance. Again, the 690, 700 can be some kind of resilience for this counter, but the time it breaches the zone of 700 decisively, there onwards, we can see a very strong upsurge towards 735 to 740 in a very short-term perspective. So this is one of the counter which is looking very positive and is on a verge of giving a very fresh breakout.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are at 9:14, just a few seconds away from what is going to be a market reaction to the setting up of portfolios and the Modi 3.0 hitting the ground running. We'll be watching PSU banks, we'll be watching railways, we'll be watching a whole host of government companies where there is a sign of continuity. 23 points higher on the Nifty, 23,256. There is a downtick on Nifty Bank. Remember, this is on T-1, and HDFC Bank refuses to fire. 185 points down. A green tick on the IT index, 34,564. Remember, yesterday was a massive sell-off on IT. Nifty 500 in the green, better than Nifty. Let's drill down into index heavyweights and see what the market is giving signs as far as the three index heavyweights are concerned. Let's look at HDFC Bank, 5 rupees lower, 1556. Let's look at Reliance, 2 rupees lower, 2942. Let's look at Infosys, which is flat, 1500 rupees. Let's look at TCS, 11 rupees lower, 3847. It's unlikely that you'll see a green tick on the Nifty till these 3 or 4 real index heavyweights are in the green. What is rising? Well, within the heavyweight space, it's L&T, 20 rupees higher, 3564, and that's about it. Levers flat as well. So the first reaction is that the markets are in a consolidating mode after a very sharp rally that you've seen. Now, what is reacting? Housing. HUDCO is the top gainer as far as NSE 500 is concerned, 6.7% higher, 285. NBCC is Sakshi pointing it out, 5% higher, 150. Schneider Electric, another 5% higher. This is a quasi real estate play, 821. You have a nice green tick on ONGC, 3.8% higher. This is what is happening in the NSE 500. We'll take a very quick look at the FNO. I want to see what Asian Paints is doing. Remember, if there is a red tick on Asian Paints, this is a readjustment of the 28 rupee dividend that the company has paid out. Okay, let's look at the most active counters. Indigo, 2.7% lower, 44.41. The deal hasn't happened as yet. What else is interesting? Gale, about a percent lower, 206.77. RECL flat. Idea Cellular 1592, 0.7% higher. Nothing much of interest. Let's look at the entire PSU basket before I reach out to Osho. We marked two top gainers, which is Hutco and NBCC. Okay, Ircon is 4% higher. This is interesting, 261.80. IRCTC is 3% higher. RVNL rights are in the green. NTPC 1.8% higher. Nothing much here as well. And let's look at the defense space. Okay, a shade of green. BEL is the top gainer, 1.8% higher, 288.30. BEML, HAL, Masgaon, DOC, BDL all up about 1%. Coming to you, Osho, what catches your interest in the initial trades? Anything worthwhile?
See, overall, I am expecting a thematical move for the day. So I'm expecting there can be move in the reality space, chemical fertilizer space, and defense sector. So these kind of themes that I'm looking for the day. And from reality, I guess DLF is looking very attractive. It has given a breakout, not a breakout, but it has came up above the 21-day exponential moving average on today's chart. So I'm expecting that this run should continue on the higher end towards the zone of 870 to 75 on immediate basis. So there are many counters which are looking very lucrative for the timing. As I have mentioned, from fertilizer space, there are very counters like Deepak Nitrate, Chambal Fertilizers. These counters are looking very positive to me. And even from cement sector, major counters like small counters like Dalmia Bharat, Ramco Cements, these counters are also looking very positive to me. I'm just looking for a proper setup of risk and reward. Then I can even convey the levels where one should try to accumulate and where one should try to book.
Okay, so the Indigo deal has happened, 3% lower for the stock. And about 2.07% equity has exchanged hands. 35-38 crore rupees worth of large trade has underway. 88.33 lakh shares have seen exchanging hands as well. Apart from this, Honasa Consumer, that has also seen a deal happening. So about 66.22 lakh shares have seen the deal getting done in. And the stock is lower by about 3.9% after this deal. Let's also look at, yes, the value of the large trade is 291 odd crore rupees, and IRB Infra has also been done. 41.47 crore shares have exchanged hands. The stock is lower by about 7.9% in trade. So the three deals that were supposed to happen have now taken place, and all the stocks lower in trade. Let's get Dharmesh ji into the conversation. Of these three stocks, how are you really looking at them? Anything that you track closely, and would you advise investors to take a bet even now?
No, Sakshi, I mean, we are just staying away for wherever the valuation comfort is not great. I mean, in general markets are, the valuation comfort is not there, but the extreme end of the valuation multiples wherever things are there, so we are just staying away from that. So we are sticking to very, very basic names. I mean, names like SBI or ICICI Bank, LIC of India, GICRE, GMDC and all are our, preferred picks as of now. We'll see how this consolidation plays out in the market first.
Right. Let's also look at one more stock that's reacting sharply to the news, and that is JBM Auto. The company unit had signed an agreement with Mon India, a Macquarie Group company, and intends to deploy 2,000 electric buses with Mons. So just look at the stock 1.5% higher, 2074 on this one as well. And since there was also a discussion with Osho on the tire companies, even JK Tire is in news. The company is teamed up with EKA Mobility to offer comprehensive tire management solutions as well. Where are you keeping your focus on within the auto ancillary basket, Osho?
See, overall, many counters are looking very positive from the auto ancillaries also. As I have mentioned, Apollo Tire is one of the pick that I am expecting. Then again, coming back to JBM Auto, so it has always been in a very secular uptrend, currently hovering at a decent highs above all the exponential moving average. So we can see a gradual up move in these counters also. But from auto ancillaries, companies like Balkrishna Industry, Bharat Forge, these counters have seen a very tremendous upsurge in the recent period. So there can be some kind of consolidation before the another set of rally in these companies. So these companies can witness a strong move in the coming period. But overall, as the technical parameters have already been into the overbought trajectory, so there can be a cool off for 1 2 days or maybe a week, and after that again the next set of rally can be seen in these counters also.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's look at the broader market. We have a green tick on the Nifty, which is flat as flat can be. Remember, it's consolidating after that 720 point uptick that we've seen last week. And of course, all news-led events are out. Now, we track 19 indices for you. 17 are in the green, led by the realty space. Remember, it's the housing team that is running across the board, whether it is government financiers such as HUDCO, government builders such as NBCC, or housing finance companies. The other gainer is the Nifty 50, the Nifty Alpha 50. I'd like to see what the mid cap and the small cap are doing. The mid cap 100 index is 0.5% higher. The small cap index is 1/3% higher. The advanced decline in NSE 500 is a good 3:2. And let's look at what's now booming. It's, ladies and gentlemen, the old favorites. Look at BHEL. Look at how the move is coming into Divi's lab. And look at how Siemens is moving. So 2 or 3 broad themes that are running across the market. I'd also like to look at record highs today, especially in the PSU sector. So Realty is present by Oberoi Realty, 2.5% higher, 1940. Of course, this has nothing to do with affordable housing as far as people outside Mumbai are concerned. Oberoi Realty is primarily a Mumbai-based realty player. Torrent Pharma, now this is interesting, 1.2% higher, 228.99. Coromandel International, a fertilizer play, 1.2% higher. UBL, Cipla and Ultratech Cement. These are the counters that are doing pretty well. And of course, market favorites such as IEX, 1% higher, 166, NMDC, NALCO, Container Corporation, all of them in fine shape. The Nifty flat, 8 points higher, 23,267, and what's moving is the PSU pack. Coming to you, Osho. Low ticket, high beta. NMDC, National Aluminium, IRFC, IREDA, HUDCO, what do you like? Anyone or whatever is your preference?
See, overall, the whole pack which you have mentioned is looking very positive. From the technical point of view, these counters are in the cycle of higher highs, higher lows. So we still expect that there can be strong up move still left in these counters. But looking at the overall risk reward ratio, there are various counters we are witnessing some kind of good move, but on a medium term perspective, not for a very short term perspective. So NMDC is looking very positive. Recently it has retracted towards the 100-day exponential moving average and again have started moving upwards, but this has brought down the technical parameters which were on the overbought trajectory towards the comfortable zone. So I am expecting that from here onwards there can be a decent up move that can be seen in this counter for the upside target of nearly 275 to 80 on a short-term perspective, and the time it breaches the zone of 280, then from there onwards we can see a decent upsurge towards 300 odd levels. Now coming to the other counters like IREDA, it is also looking very positive to me from medium-term perspective, not very much aggressive for immediate basis or short-term perspective, but for medium-term perspective, yes, definitely the counter has a very strong movement, and one can definitely expect a target of nearly 195 to 200 in the short to medium-term time frame.
Okay, what I'd also like to mark, Sakshi, is the capital goods space. Remember, this is also quasi real estate. We see some kind of a strong move coming into Texrail, 5.77% higher. Shakti Pumps 5% higher, 26.28. Remember, Shakti Pumps is actually a Shivraj Chauhan play. This is Madhya Pradesh based company, and of course bang on the agri theme. So a 5% upper circuit, there's nothing we can do. 26.28. You have TRIL, this is transformers and rectifiers, again news driven. 500 crores QIP in the pipeline. This is at 720 rupees. 755 is the price. So these are the 2 or 3 things that I'm watching, Shakti and TRIL, based on news. Sakshi.
Absolutely. You know what we'll do is we'll also look at the slew of stocks that were Andhra related stocks. After a whole host one-way move, all of them are showing some dips in trade today. So Heritage Foods is down 3.5%, Amara Raja is down 2.5%, KNR Constructions is down by about 1%. We also have KCP Limited, yes, so Heritage is now down 4% right now, and this is not the right stock. PCR, you have to pull up the other name, Amara Raja Energy. KCP is down 6.7% at 234 odd levels on this one as well. So those are the kind of stocks that we will continue to look at. Yes, Amara Raja Energy is down by 1.7%. Let's get Dharmeshji into the conversation. Dharmeshji, of course, again, a lot of FOMO that built up in these stocks over the last 10 days odd. 12 दिन में 1200 करोड़ से ज़्यादा तो टीडीपी चीफ ने हेरिटेज फूड से ही कमा लिए, और बाकी जितने लोग थे वो सोच रहे थे कि अगर हम भी इन्वेस्ट कर लेते तो बेहतर रहता, लेकिन अब क्या करें, स्टॉक डबल हो चुके हैं कुछ 12 दिनों के अंदर. आपकी राय क्या होगी इन कुछ स्टॉक्स में?
भूल जाइए इनको. There is no point looking at that. And I mean, FOMO should be if you have missed a very good, fundamental story and it's building up. I mean, just on a news event that things may become very favorable for few of the companies itself sets a wrong bias. So our advice is only that look at company from its merit of the business perspective and not from the influences it can carry its business forward. So that is it. अगर मिल छूट गए तो छूट गए, no problem. There are other opportunities in the market. And I think the market is fine. If today also it's consolidating at the top end of the vertical, and there would be few corrections coming here and there. And it's more of a trading market for next 20-30 days. So upward trending buy over say 10-15% kind of a stock-based movement is difficult to find in this market.
Okay, good. Okay, fine. One should really forget about these is the clear verdict that Dharmeshji is giving. Osho, anything that could be looked at charts?
So from these counters which you have mentioned,
yes.
Then I guess Amaraja Energy still looks positive to me. It has given a very positive movement in the last week, but definitely the cycle for this counter was higher highs, higher lows. So if there will be any kind of dip towards the zone of again 1300 and 1280, then that will be a very apt level to accumulate this counter. Overall trend is very bullish, and from medium term perspective, definitely the trajectory remains on the higher end. But at current levels, the risk reward is not favorable. So if someone is holding the position, then they should keep holding on. If one wants to have some fresh accumulation, then better to wait for some kind of dip towards 1300 or 1280 odd levels, then they might look to accumulate this counter.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, 9:30, the first 15 minutes have lapsed. The Nifty is 25 points higher, but the theme is PSUs, PSUs and PSUs. I was thinking of starting with defense, but Sakshi has said रेलगाड़ी चल रही है और IRCTC पर ध्यान दीजिए. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is IRCTC for you. A very, very strong move across the railway pack, led of course by IRCTC, and of course the three other railway stocks. We have IRFC, Railtel, RVNL, and of course IRCON. IRCTC at the moment is 5% higher, 1026. Let me just check the initial circuit. Osho, what would you do with IRCTC?
See, for today, there has already been a very strong move, but for positional basis, I will definitely try to gauge momentum with keeping a very strict stop loss of around 995. It has seen a very strong retracement after retesting the 200-day SMA on the daily time frame, and even the technical indicators have seen a very strong positive crossover from the mid or comfortable zone. So I'm expecting that this trend should continue. On the higher end, 1080 to 1090 should be seen as the target. But as there is a very strong momentum for the day, it is not expected that there can be a follow-up buying in this counter for the same manner. But for positional basis, for in cash, basically, one can definitely try to gauge momentum in cash market for the targets of nearly 1080 to 1090, keeping a stop loss of around 990 odd levels.
Okay, Sakshi, we track 22 railway stocks, 20 of them are in the green, and it's very, very difficult to say which is performing better. So all three wagon makers, Jupiter Wagons 9% higher, Tex Rail 8.5% higher. Let's look at how Container Corporation is doing. This is largest container running company, 3.2% higher, 1088. Of course, we've discussed our IRCTC. What we don't discuss is IRCON, 4.4% higher, 262.70. I'll draw a chart at my end, Osho. But what are IRCON's charts telling you? I think it's going to be a swing trade. You have a 5% uptick. Okay, yes. Most recent high 298, now at 262. What are the charts of IRCON telling you?
See, again, this counter is again into a cycle of higher highs, and recently after testing the zone of 100-day exponential moving average, which historically has seen a very strong support for IRCON. So I'm expecting that from here onwards, the lower or the short-term lower has been made in this counter. On the higher end, there can be a strong up move towards the zone of 280, but again, 300 remains to be a very strong resilience for this counter. But for short term, 280 to 300 is the zone where one should try to book their profits. On the lower end, approximately 238 is the support zone for this counter. So I am expecting that it should hover within the mentioned range, and one should try to accumulate on the dips and try to sell on the higher levels.
Okay, I think defense has started to move as it should have. Sakshi, 5% on Mazgaon, 3271. Very, very strong volumes coming into Garden Reach, 3.3% higher. BDL 2.2% higher. Cochin 1.8% higher. BEL and HAL 1.6 and 1.7% higher respectively. Sakshi.
So the defense move is, there is no let up in this space as well. Osho, which is your top favorite stock despite the kind of run up? Where would you still see there is enough and more steam left?
See, from defense counter, my favorite is HAL, but overall the counter has already seen a very drastic up move, and the technical indicators are majorly into the overbought trajectory, but they have been for the past 3 months, and this counter we have witnessed no stopping buy for this counter. So still I'm expecting that this counter can retest the zone of nearly 5200, which is the bearish gap on the daily time frame. So one should definitely try to gauge momentum in HAL, BEL and Paras Defense also. So these three counters are looking very positive to me, and one should try to gauge momentum in all these three counters as per their pocket size.
Okay, let's also look at Premier Explosives. This stock has been up and about for many days. Let's see how that one is doing today. I wanted to look at that one as well. The stunning one-day moves were being seen over the last few trading sessions. Again, it's flattish with a positive bias today. How are you looking at the charts of Premier Explosive, Osho?
See, overall this counter has seen a very drastic breakout in last trading session. It was approximately around the zone of 2700, and looking at the consolidation breakout, it had the next target comes around the zone of 500 odd points. So 3200 is the immediate target that one can expect in premier explosives. But again, there has been a very strong move in this week, only approximately 18% higher. So not to be very much aggressive at these levels, but if someone is holding, then they should definitely hold for the target of 3200. For fresh accumulation, better to wait for some kind of dip towards 2800, 2900 odd levels, and then one can accumulate for targets of 32, keeping a stop loss of 2650 odd levels.
Okay, got that. And Concord now is inching further higher. 3% uptick can be seen. It's also among the top F&O movers right now. 3.5% higher for this one. Within the F&O space, I'm also looking at GMR Airports Infra, 3.3% higher in trade. And ABB is also pulling up about 3% up and about. Anything from these F&O movers that you'd like to track, Osho?
There are many counters from capital goods, ABB, Cummins India, Siemens. These counters are looking very positive to me. Specifically about ABB, then it has been hovering near the zone of 8,000, 8,050 odd levels, and it has been maintaining this zone. So I'm expecting that I am not expecting a very strong or aggressive move in these counters in the near period, but from short to medium term perspective, there can be a gradual up move that can be seen for ABB. It has the potential to retest the immediate swing high of 8750 odd level. So definitely it's a buy in cash market for 8750 kind of a target, keeping a stop loss around 7950 odd levels.
Okay, got that. In fact, GMR is also an Andhra-based company, and remember, TDP has retained the civil aviation portfolio, and therefore there is a strong move on that one as well. Apart from this, all these portfolio-led stocks, the agri stocks, for example, Shakti Pumps, that's moving up in trade as well. Remember, it's an MP-based company, and Shivraj Chauhan has got the agri portfolio, and Shakti Pumps is an agri-based pump maker as well. So a strong move that can be seen, 5% higher, 26, 28 odd levels. So some of these stocks that are related to the states, where the ministers are getting key portfolios are also moving up in trade. Osho, Shakti Pumps for you, how would you really look at it?
Overall, Shakti Pumps is still looking very positive to me. The kind of rally it has witnessed in the current financial year has been tremendous, from 1400 towards 29 3000 odd levels. But now the technical zone has seen some kind of cool off, or they have came down from the overbought trajectory. So from here onwards, again some buying can be seen in these counters. But again, this is a very low volume driven counter, so I do not expect that there can be a very strong technical development that can be working very positively in this counter. But looking at the overall sentiment, yes, it is looking positive, and I expect that it has the potential to retest the zone of 2900 once again in a very short term perspective.
Okay, enough of stock picking, ladies and gentlemen. Let's now pay attention to what the Nifty is now trying to tell us. 35 points lower, nothing to be worried about, 23,221. Remember, it's consolidating. All the news that could possibly impact the market is now in the system, including cabinet formation, including cabinet ministers taking charge, and of course Modi 3.0 running on the ground as far as prices, as far as market news driven are concerned. Now on the green side, it's L&T that's contributing 13 points, M&M that's contributing 7, ONGC contributing 6.5, and a green tick from Britannia and Ultratech Cement. What's pulling the Nifty lower? 3 banks, ICICI, Kotak and Axis, all 3 put together 20 points, and of course Reliance, the big boy, 1% lower, contributing a negative 24 points. So it's again stock specific. All the green stocks are on the PSU side, whether you look at defense, whether you look at railways, whether you look at fertilizers. So that's the theme that is running fairly strongly in the market. The Nifty Bank on T-1 is 0.5% lower, 49,578. Remember, this one had also run up very sharply. And Sakshi, between you and me, and of course our very dear friend Mayuresh Joshi, Bikaji Foods, 725 4 for you, record high. The counter is showing decent block deals, and this is something that needs to be looked at by Osho. Osho Bhikaji Foods.
See, Bikaji Foods have seen a very strong move in the last 2 weeks. I guess from 560 it has gone above 700 odd levels. So that has been a very huge move, approximately more than 20% in this month. So there can be some kind of cool off or profit booking that can be seen, because overall the technical parameters have reached the zone of overbought territory, and one should not be very much aggressive from here onwards in this counter. But overall, the view remains positive. Dip should be auguring well for this counter. Near about 680 to 660 is the first support zone that can cushion some kind of profit booking, followed by very strong support of nearly 620 odd levels. Overall, view remains positive. 600 to 750 is the immediate zone. That is a very strong zone, but a broader zone. But overall, this is the zone that where one could try to accumulate and try to book their profits also.
Okay, got that. So that's Bikaji Foods for you. The other counter which we've not discussed is BHEL. Again, strong move that can be seen on this one, 2.6% higher. It's also among the top movers in the F&O space. Where do you see BHEL now headed, Osho?
BHEL, again, looking at the overall trajectory, it has been on a very consistently on a very positive trajectory. So I'm expecting that on the higher end, the immediate resilience for this counter is approximately around the zone of 305 to 310. So this is a very strong resistance for BHEL. The time it breaches the zone of 310 on a decisive manner, then only we can see a next leg of rally in this counter. But overall view is positive. 280, 285 is the support zone where it is currently hovering right now. And on the higher end, 310 to 315 odd levels for short-term perspective should be seen as the immediate resistance. So one should try to accumulate at these levels. Current market price for higher target of nearly 310.
Okay. One stock that I found that's moving within the metals pack, even the metal space is up and about. It's in the green, and most of the counters are also trading in higher. But Indian metals, let's look at that one. A very strong move has been seen on this stock. We rarely discuss this stock. It's up by about 8.5% in trade today. Osho, on Indian metals, how are you looking at this sharp move that's built up?
Indian metals, I have never tracked this counter because I don't think it's in NSC, I guess.
No, it is in NSC.
It is, okay. This counter is something that I have seen for the first time, to be very honest. So again, looking at the overall sentiments, technical setups, it has seen a very strong breakout in today's session. Yesterday, it has given a indication that it will have a breakout, but today it has given a very strong breakout around the zone of 760. And with the move, it has been backed by very strong volumes. So looking at the overall trend, one can definitely look that there can be some kind of positive momentum that can be seen. So 815 to 820 is the immediate target as per technical developments, where it is already hovering. So I'm not very much aggressive in this counter for the timing, but again I have to look decisively about the technical developments. Overall, 815, 820 should be the target for this counter. On the lower end, 760 is the breakout. So now that should be providing a very strong support for this counter.
Okay, so that's the metal space. So that's what, the entire real estate and the ancillaries, they're moving up on hopes that the affordable housing will pick up pace. Along with, we've discussed cement, we've discussed the, housing financiers as well. The construction makers, HCC, again, 7.5% higher for this one. Elara, in fact, came out with a report of initiating a buy rating on this one. And with a target price of 63, they do believe that there could be 90 billion rupee kind of inflows in FY25 estimated, and a guidance of 100 billion rupees, increasing by 15% per annum for the next 2 years as well. And a strong move that could be seen on HCC following that. Osho, would you track HCC, and could you tell us where is this stock really headed, with now brokerage houses penciling in higher targets for this one?
See, overall, HCC was having a very strong resilience around the zone of 40, 41 odd levels, but today we have seen a very strong breakout that has been backed by very strong volumes, because in the first half an hour, the volume has already met the average volume that can be seen in this counter for last 20 trading sessions. So I'm expecting that this should continue on the higher end. Again, on the positive front, it is having a very strong resilience. Next resistance around the zone of 45. The time it breaches the zone of 45, then overall the broader range will be shifted towards from 40 to 57, 58 kind of a level. So I'm expecting that there is a very strong movement that can be seen in this counter, and definitely one should try to gauge such momentum in this counter for short to medium term time frame.
We are at 9:45, ladies and gentlemen. The first half hour has lapsed. The Nifty is moving between gains and losses. A sideways trend is what is discernible. Remember, the index is consolidating after a series of news events all through last week, and a very nice bump up of about 720 points in the last week. So probably all of this week you'll see the Nifty digesting the rally. It has happened 23,260 for you, but what is undoubtedly in demand is railway stocks. What is undoubtedly in demand is defense, and of course a wide cross section of fertilizer stocks such as Herumb, such as Fact, such as stocks like Kirloskar Pneumatic, now 1.1% higher, and of course Sakshi, Motherson Sumi, now erstwhile Motherson Sumi, and of course now Samvardhana Motherson, 0.1% higher, again consolidating near record highs. Stocks such as GNFC are in thick demand, 674, and you have 1.1% uptick on GNFC. Tata Chemicals is now roaring back into gains, 2.8% higher. Let me just see what Tata Chemicals is looking on the charts. Osho, what would be your view on Tata Chemicals? Remember, soda ash prices globally have gone up, and this is a beautiful swing trade in the making. Osho, Tata Chem.
See, overall, Tata Chem is looking very positive. As you have mentioned, there has been a very strong swing from the 200-day SMA. It has taken some time to consolidate near the 200-day SMA on the daily chart, and from there onwards, it has started gaining some traction in the last 3 sessions. So I'm expecting that with the current move of above holding the zone of 1100, there can be some decent move that can be seen in this counter. On the higher end, the immediate target that one can expect from 1 to 2 days kind of a time frame is 1140, 1145 odd levels. The time it breaches the zone, then we can witness another 40 to 45 point of rally in this counter. But for the time being, 1140 being a very strong resistance zone, and on the lower end, I am expecting that now 1090 to 1100 should provide very strong cushion to this counter.
Okay, so the two top makers of soda ash in India, ladies and gentlemen, are Tata Chemicals and of course Grasim. Keep an eye on Grasim as well. That's the largest maker of soda ash, where global prices have gone up by about 25%. That's on the chemical space. Keep these two in mind. And Sakshi, two stocks, Tejas Networks, a blowout here. For those who have time spare and want to understand what the telecom scene in India will look like, should read the annual report of Tejas Networks. It points to a phenomenal change in the telecom landscape, and this company will be critical. This is already at a record high. I am just marking the stock for you, 1358. I will not be taking a technical view because this is overstretched. And Sakshi, the last one, Bata India, now galloping around 1501, up for the last 6 days running. It was at 1250 rupees on 4th of June, 1500 rupees now, and all signs are there it will take out its 200-day moving average. Sakshi.
Okay, got that. So that's the strong move that's buzzing within those stocks. Let's also look at some of the other mid-cap movers that we are looking at. The index is up 0.5%, inching higher. Poonawalla FinCorp about 4.5% higher in trade at 445. Then apart from this, let's also look at some of the other stocks that are buzzing. Of course, we've discussed the oil and gas space, ONGC, Oil India, but there's Petronet LNG that's moving up. Torrent Power is back in focus, 2.5% higher. Patanjali Foods is up by 2%. Nykaa is moving higher. Oberoi Realty, the entire real estate space for sure, is moving up as well. That's nothing to be very discussing on this one. But let's discuss the IT pack with you, Osho, which we've not discussed. And IT, of course, was a laggard yesterday, of course, after that stunning move over the last week that we saw, it's again cooled off. Some pickup happening from the low point of today. How do you see the IT space really headed, and where are you keeping your focus here?
See, overall IT space is a counter where we can see a very strong reversal, because with major of the heavyweight counters in IT in the last trading session, in the last trading week, when the market have seen a very strong fall and down, then on that day we have witnessed a strong reversal kind of candlestick patterns on major of the heavyweight counters like Wipro, TCS. All these counters have witnessed a reversal kind of a single candlestick pattern on the daily time frame. So from now onwards, I am quite convinced that from here onwards there can be a decent reversal in these counters. So my pick from IT is Wipro and Techem. Wipro being one of the most laggard counters from IT space has seen a very strong plunge in the recent period, but now I am expecting that 440, 450 odd levels should be providing very strong support in this counter, and in the coming period this counter has the potential to reach the immediate highs of nearly 540, but that is from short to medium term time frame, not on a very immediate basis. For short term perspective also, the support lies around the zone of nearly 465, and I am expecting a target of 500. This is for short term, but my view is for a broader view is for a medium term time frame with a good returns in major IT companies. The other one is Techem. Techem again has seen a very strong move. A V-shaped recovery has been seen in Tech Mahindra. So I'm expecting that this should continue on the higher end. Near about 1400, 1420 is the immediate resistance. The time it breaches the zone of 1420, we can witness a very strong upsurge for approximately 1460 to 1480 in short to medium term time frame.
Okay, got that. So that's as far as the IT space is concerned. The mid-cap index has recovered about 300 points from the day's low, and there is a higher movement over there. Anything that looks positive to you, Osho, within the mid-cap space?
See, from mid-cap, there are counters. I have not seen a very strong setup for the time being, but there are various counters which we are looking positive from mid-cap. Also, some counters like India Bulls was looking very positive, was looking decent, not very positive, was looking decent to me. Then from IT space only, mid-cap IT, Coforge was looking very positive to me. It has given a very strong flat pattern breakout in the last trading session, in the last couple of trading sessions. So I'm expecting that there can be some counters we have to pick up. As of now, I have not highlighted some of the counters which can see a very decisive up move, but there are counters which are witnessing some kind of decent traction, and I'm expecting in the coming period again mid cap will start gaining some strong traction in majority of the sectors.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a fruitful day. We are at 9:55. We'll just be wrapping up the show. So what has clicked? The entire PSU pack. Within PSUs, what's in demand? It's railways, news-driven RVNL, market-driven IRCTC, Container Corporation of India, Ircon. Apart from that, TexRail and of course Jupiter Wagons are the ones that are celebrating the return of Mr. Ashwani Vaishnav as a railway minister in Modi 3.0. What else is taking? Defense. So therefore, the markets are also celebrating the return of Mr. Rajnath Singh. Remember, he was the one who started that Atmanirbhar list, the negative list of imports of defense equipment. He said nothing doing. and those lists ranged up till 3. So defense is in good shape. You have railway that's doing good. Individual stocks related to portfolios of ministers such as Shakti Pumps, such as GMR Infra, and of course a whole host of telecom shares just as Tejas Networks are doing phenomenally well in the markets. What's on pause? Well, it's Nifty, and there is absolutely no worries there. You've had a very sharp rally all of last week. That's getting digested, and the markets are now gearing up for the 100-day plan from the Prime Minister's office, and of course the budget which will be there in the first week of July. Therefore agrichem, therefore fertilizers, therefore agri theme and the monsoon theme. Sakshi.
Absolutely. With that, thank you so much, Osho, for sparing your time for our show today and being with us. Truly appreciate your presence. We'll wrap it up at that. 10 points higher on the Nifty, absolutely flat. The Nifty bank is just a tad lower below the flat line, 49,737. Sectorally, the action is top notch in real estate space, oil and gas, the broader markets, mid and the small caps, consumer durables, PSU banks, metals, infra space as well, and of course railway and defense space, as Shail has already pointed out, and of course the agri related theme that continues to be in the thick of action. We'll wrap it up at that, but do stay tuned on to Business Today as we continue to track for you what is buzzing on the street and where exactly you need to keep an eye out on. So stay tuned throughout the day, action packed day for you.
नरेंद्र दामोदर दास मोदी
नरेंद्र दामोदर